is Jingna Zhang, and I am a photographer in New York City. I was born in Beijing, and I grew up in Singapore, and then I worked a little bit in Tokyo and LA before finally coming to New York 4 years ago. I used to be a professional rifle shooter and representing Singapore for 6 years. I did a rifle because my mother was a rifle coach, and I think just growing up, seeing her train people, and so I tried, and I turned out to be pretty talented at it, you know. In some ways, I think I was more talented in it than photography. So I picked it up really quickly. I broke the national record in like the first 9 months of doing shooting, and I started representing Singapore. So it gave me a lot of opportunity to go traveling and see the world. And I was 14, 15 years old. So, you know, coming from like a single mother, like middle income, it's things that a lot of other kids can't get. So I think I saw the world a lot from that, and I'm always grateful for it. Because I was studying fashion design, I started photographing people in clothes and tried to present them in a fashionable way. But I was a student, it's not like I had a very good concept of what really fashion photography should be. It's not something I studied. So I think because of that, and because of my passion towards classical art, paintings I've always loved, I started trying to create photos that's a little bit more painterly, that, you know, when someone looked at it, they might think, oh, is this like a painting or a photograph? And that was kind of my approach to it. So working with models is very important for me, firstly, to cast them beforehand. I think it's always important to see them in person and interact to see if they can give you what you need for your concept, because a model's portfolio can have old photos where, you know, maybe their hairstyle has changed, any number of things. So I want to know that they look like how they're supposed to look and that they can take the directions I need them for. So once the casting is right on set, usually I would have sent them the mood board so they have an idea about, say, oh, we're doing like a Renaissance look thing, and these are some potential props I have, so they know to pose accordingly, like a sitter that might have sat for old master paintings, or if these are props, how she could practice holding them at home before coming on set with me. So on set is really just about, they just have to perform, and we just do small directions about, okay, this looks good, let's try something else. And once I have a few shots, I could say, okay, pose as you wish, things like that. When I was in art school, I was doing an essay about an artist I liked, John William Waterhouse. And when I first saw his painting, The Lady of Shalott, I thought this was so beautiful and touching that I was just quite in awe of how beautiful it was. And it moved me in a way that I was surprised by a piece of artwork. I think that always kind of stuck with me, and I wish I could create works that would impact other people like that. You know, growing up in Asia, having so much resistance towards pursuing arts as a career, and or even sports before that, it always made me think we should encourage more people to think about how that's a viable path for youngsters or for people. Even if you're older, you know, you could change your career if that's something you're passionate about. I used the Pentax 645Z for my camera, and then I have a few different lenses, but the one I use most frequently is the 120mm. And then for lighting, I use Photo. I have the D1 Air 500. They're really easy to set up in the apartment when I do my personal work with modifiers like the 53-inch Octa, strip light, umbrella XL, all of these from Photo, except for the Octa, that's from Elim Chrome. And then, yeah, really depending on what the shoot is, I might change it up. Last year, I took a class on how to do environment paintings for video games and stuff. It showed me different ways to look at my own work as well, just because I do so much studio work. The photographer's role in society these days, we have a clear channel of communication with a large audience, right? We no longer need to depend on magazines to give us that path. So, you know, whatever message it is that you think could benefit society, benefit other people, like, you should try to do it. That's what I think. In terms of freedom in working with clients, for example, if it was a magazine shoot, usually the job might come from the editor or the stylist, and they would say, okay, this might be a concept I have. Then you you work out the details for a concept with them. Sometimes you have more freedom and they say, okay, we have to sell these clothes featured in a story, or we have to sell a perfume story or lipstick story. So it depends on that. You can create a concept with them. With commercial clients, especially if it comes from an advertising agency, it might be a lot more strict. They would have prepared all the media buy and all the advertising strategy and things. So they just want you to execute this visual reference that they have already put together. And usually there's a lot less negotiating power in terms of creativity in that way. Nowadays, for being a photographer, I think with cameras in our pocket, I think it's so easy to get into photography. But commercially, just because there are so many more photographers, I think the market has become so saturated that it's definitely more difficult to make a good living. But I don't see it as a bad thing because, once upon a time, I was a newcomer to an industry. And I think, especially around the time when I started, everything is switching to digital, and people who were lagging behind were starting to have issues when they're not adapting to what's new, right? And now we're going through the change again. Rather than from film to digital, we're going through how social media works, that impacts the photos we create and advertising and everything. So I think it forces people to be good creators. At the end of the day, this whole time photography has been used, at least in advertising, as a channel to sell things. And if people can do that, then they are achieving what clients need. So if you can't keep up with any industry, then you're going to become obsolete. I think I take photos mostly for myself. It's purely just experiencing the magic of seeing all the production efforts coming together on set. It feels great, right? It's a very magical experience, and challenging myself, obviously, how I can do better. That feeling of knowing you're kind of improving, I really like that. Maybe because I used to do rifle and I'm competitive, so just maybe even if it's competing with myself, I just know that I am moving forward in what I'm doing. I want to create that sense of awe, when people see my work, and I feel that there are just so many different concepts and ideas I still haven't tried. So I want to keep doing more and more. And that's really it.